Well, welcome back. So today's episode, we are going into all things homeschool curriculum that are free. So materials, products, anything that can help you in your homeschool. I also got some games and some activities you can do with your kids. So why don't we just get to it? So first of all, products of the day, which are the only non-free things, which is, I just want to show it to you. It finally arrived. It's Graphic Shakespeare, and it's got 5 different, look at that. So it's a graphic novel about Shakespeare, and it covers 5 different Shakespearean plays, and it explains it under here. So here is the words from the novel, and here is the explanation. So I think that's pretty cool. Next up, we got the Postman. If you've never played this game, what it is you build a city out of these. It's like giant puzzle pieces. You build a city, and then you have to remember, like, you'll flip over a card, and it'll be like, you know, it'll show you like a couple of elements from a house, and you have to use your recall to try and find it, and it's whoever finds it first can put on, or you can do turn by turn with little kids. So it's got a couple different versions you can play with it. And lastly, I've been wanting to show you this. I don't know who's interested in it, but I've always searched for the perfect mug, and then I happened to find this at a thrift store. This is by the Pioneer Woman, and it's just a gigantic, awesome mug, and it's dishwasher and microwave safe, and it's ginormous, and I love it, so I just wanted to share that. All right, so let's get to ideas. So one of the things I want you to think about today or consider is that anger is a sign that whoever is getting angry, that they had unrealistic expectations of the situation. So if you are getting angry at your child, you had unrealistic expectations as to how whatever it is was going to play out. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind next time you get angry, or next time you see a child angry, that they perhaps had unrealistic expectations as to what was going to occur. Okay, so next up, let's talk about ideas for kind of creating connection with you and your child. Obviously, connection is super important, but let's talk about some of the things you can do to build connection. Remember, when you have little children, however you can create laughter, that's like a huge stress reliever. So whether it's wrestling, whether it's you're tickling them, whether you're putting them on a blanket and you're pulling them around the living room, whether you're getting a bunch of socks. Sometimes we've had sock wars. And so you get, you know, when the laundry's done or whatever, you get all your socks together and then you throw them at each other. Always try to aim to do, it would be my recommendation, that you do kids versus parents, especially if your kids are close in age, to create so that there's not a warring dynamic between them. So anytime just to tone down the sibling rivalry, it's always like you against your kids. I think I read that in the sibling rivalry book, but I'm not really sure. I read a lot of sibling rivalry type books to try and, just because my littlest kids are like a year apart. I've talked about this game a lot. It's the drawing game, or the scribble game I call it, where I scribble a line and then the child, he'll take over the line and he'll continue it however he wants. Usually he's like, and I'm like, it's so hard to find, and then I try and find it. And that's cool because it grounds you and it gets you together on the same page before you begin or do whatever it is you're doing. Also in a restaurant. All right, so if you have a child who has, say, autism, ADHD, anything really, but they have problems controlling themselves, right? Like problems controlling their body, we're gonna teach them that they actually can control their body. And so what you can do red light, green light, but not like that TV show. I mean, you could do red light, green light, where, okay, green light, they start walking or running, and then you say red light, they have to freeze. You're showing them that they have control over their body. Like, look how much control you have over your body. You were able to stop it on a dime. So just trying to reinforce that they do have more control over themselves than they think. All right, and remember, when it comes to anger too, I remember Dr. Phil one time saying, I haven't watched Dr. Phil in literally decades, I don't think. But one of the things he said once that I heard was, anger is only uncontrollable once it's put into motion. So to try and figure out why this child is getting frustrated, what is it like about the situations that make this child frustrated, if you can figure that out, it might help you when it comes to things like that. Okay, so now remember, I'm gonna go through every year, right? So year after year after year after year after year, for the most part, but some years I'll group together, like 4, 5, and 6, you know, middle school, things like that. So let's start with the coolest free children's pre-kindergarten, a pre-kindergarten full-length program, which is super cool. You get 3 months free, and it's definitely enough time in which to do it. But what it is so it's got these 30-minute lessons of this teacher, And she teaches you about like space and farms and a bunch of different topics. And she has a bird and they sing songs together and they're very interesting. And then you got very simple crafts and books if you want to add, like get the books from the library as well to add on to create just this, and worksheets. She has worksheets too. So really just to get a whole scope of, a full preschool program that's free, and you can do as much or as little as you want. So if you just want to do the videos with your child, that's fine. But if you want to do the crafts on top of it, the crafts are definitely easy and definitely doable. Like, it's great if it's free, but it's not that great if you have to spend hours putting it together and printing things off and tracking down resources. That to me does not make a winner of a program. So when we get into the older grades, kindergarten and up, what I want you to consider is getting skills checklists. The Waldock Way, I'll put their link in the description, and she has a bunch of skills lists. So basically it's like kind of what you're supposed to be learning. Now remember, this is just a guideline, right? Because you're homeschooling, so you can do what the heck you want, but it is a way to start figuring out what you need to teach your child if you wanted to DIY your entire curriculum yourself. Just so you have an idea as to what in grade 1, what skills they would learn. Grade 2 skills, I use them at the end of the year. I'll sit down and I'll go through and create like a spreadsheet, just like a transcript of, okay, these are the skills of what he's expected to know in this year and how are we and what he's advanced in and what he's not that advanced in for my children and things like that. Okay, so let's talk about, oh my gosh, something super cool I found the other day. I was on Core Knowledge, and Core Knowledge has this kindergarten, I believe it's kindergarten, literacy program about poetry, rhymes, and fables. And it comes with, you could print off the pictures, it's got a teacher manual and a student manual, and it's just super cool. So like, for example, there'll be like a picture of roses, and it'll be roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet but not as sweet as you. And it will teach you how to work with your kid to do recall, like, okay, you say one line after I say a line, and what else can we make rhyme with it, and things like that. So it's super cool, and I'm gonna put that down in the description as well. So not everything in here is in the description though, because some of the things like going to the library, I guess I'll get to that when we get older children, but of course free if you want them, a free, really good, because I've used it, educational game system is Khan Academy. It's really good. And yeah, I mean, I've looked at a lot of free things, and this is just, I definitely think it's up there as one of the best as far as educational goes and curriculum goes. Using that in addition to whatever else you use in case I miss something, or in case they need extra practice in something, or if they want to use their tablets and I need some time alone, yeah, go ahead. Speaking of which, I'm trying to make a video, a full day in the life of me, so that you can see how I homeschool and see how I also work during that time when I do not have someone else to watch my kids. And one of the things I do is, of course, I let them play Khan Academy. If you want a kindergarten curriculum, kindergarten in grade 1, and I don't think they have a grade 2 one, but it's Miniature Masterminds. They have a full printable curriculum that you can print off. And they also have really cool things, monthly print offs as well. So K-5 science, you can do, of course, for language arts as well. They got like the good and the beautiful, of course. And then I've showed you some others on the other video that I'll attach at the end. But for science K-5, you can do CK-12. And they have, I mean, it's online though. I prefer printable things, but it's still good because you guys can still sit there, read through it, and then see photos of it, of all the different science techniques and things that you're supposed to learn. It's broken down by grade, and then by subject, and then by further into the subject, of course, by section. So it is pretty easy to use, and it's pretty good. All right, so now we're heading into grades 3 through 5, and let's start with study units. You can get a lot of good information from study units. And Waldock Way and Homeschool.com, they both have, when you scroll down, a ton of free study units that you can utilize. And of course, if you have your topic, you can go on Pinterest and search that as well. The problem I find with Pinterest is a lot of their links are not valid. Whereas if you go on the Homeschool.com, I'll leave the link in the description because I went on it and I checked the links. And if you go to the Waldock Way into their shop and go down to the bottom, you will see a lot of free, they're kind of like mini units. They're not like full-on 25-page units. I have bought one of her units before, and it is super cool. It was like $28, and it is the human body one. I mean, she just creates good stuff. She goes right into it. Okay, so now we're getting into older kids. So we're talking middle school here. So for full-on curriculum, you can go to it's @homemiddleschool.com. and take a look at that. Now, also as an option, there's a couple things you can do. Okay, so now we're getting into the Janet Van Cleve books. If you go to the library, you can do a couple things at the library. One of them when you have older kids is from age 8 and up is Janet Van Cleve books. She was, I believe, an award-winning high school teacher, or no, not high school, but a teacher. And so she teaches in this book, it's basically everything you need to know depending on the subject. So it could be, she's got one for astronomy, she's got one for science, she's got one for math and things like that. So that is an option. Another thing you can do is you can look at free curriculums, just like the free samples that they give you, because they will always give you a table of contents. And take a look at the table of contents and see what in that grade level your child is supposed to be learning. That's if you don't want to go and get the core knowledge books. Core knowledge books, if you buy them online, I mean, they're pretty amazing, but you could probably get them at the library. I haven't tried. I just stumbled upon one in a thrift store, which is how I know they're super cool, because it is a thick book and it's actually like a full-on curriculum in a book. Full-on curriculum in a book for like $12 or $20. I mean, it covers everything. The stories you should be reading to your child in kindergarten, and then you get up to the grade 4 and it's like, okay, these are the biographies you should know, and this is the American history you should know, and stuff like that. So they're pretty cool books. Not to be confused with their core knowledge website, which has free curriculum depending on the age. Like I already told you about that super cool kindergarten, like, so, and the geography unit. I love the geography unit that they have. It's either kindergarten or grade 1 that they have an around the world geography that I think is pretty neat. But let's talk, okay, so let's keep going. So there's something you should know about. There's actually an online public school that is free. It's K through 12, grades K through 12, and it is free. Now the thing is that you cannot pick and choose, and you do not, so, because it's, you know, I guess you'd say state provided curriculum, and someone there teaches your child, right? Like you are not teaching your child, this is online curriculum, but that is an option for you to do. For history, the older we get, the better this is better suited to, but the history, the OED, that's like their philanthropy, is all these free history courses and information at the high school level, and younger as well. Like you can use it, there's not really an age for it per se, but a lot, there's actually, if you look, another resource is Math Planet. Is it Math Planet? Yeah, Math Planet. And if I've noticed out there that there's, like, Core Knowledge does it, Math Planet does it, and now OED does it, and what it is that's like their philanthropy, is creating these materials and giving these materials to people to help them. So that is, and the Math Planet is specifically for high school, and I think it's a Swedish company that created it, but this is their English version. They have a ton in Sweden, in Switzerland, no, not Switzerland, Swedish. But the Math Planet's their one in English. And if I'm understanding the website correctly. And anyway, it's free, and it's got a bunch of, math courses for you, full-on courses at the high school level. High school language arts. So high school language arts, what you need to do, from what I have deduced for the most part, is split it up into different things, right? So you got vocab, you got grammar, you got, essays, you got things like that. So you're splitting it up. And one of the things you can use is, okay, so I'm gonna put some links down in the description, because you can use spellingcity.com, and it's got some very cool vocab, some fun vocab, like I was on this morning going through it, and it's got some fun vocab exercises. As well, the next thing you got is for grammar. You can go englishbanana.com, they got a bunch of grammar stuff, but I'm gonna get to the cool thing, because you can do easy essay that's supposed to take about 5 minutes. And another thing you can do is you can use Guest Hollow. Guest Hollow has a high school curriculum for like geography and things like that, and it's really affordable. It's like 35 bucks, and for the geography unit, you go like super in depth to it, and you learn just a ton of information. But if you didn't want to, you can go to, like, if that doesn't interest you, you can go to Tina's Dynamic Homeschool, and I'll leave it on. From like 6 to grade 12, she's got a bunch of printable grammar stuff that's on there, and some language arts curriculums as well that are pretty cool. So take a look at those. And I wasn't even sure, did I tell you about Mr. Q's science? That's just before high school. Mr. Q's science, he has the biology unit, which is free, as well his life sciences, and everything you need to know before you hit high school. And lastly, let me tell you about something. If you go to the library and you just search grade 12 curriculum or grade 2 math, so it's got to be specific, right? Like grade 12 math or grade 12 algebra or something like that. They have books there, curriculum books for you that you can take out and obviously photocopy or whatever. Just get ideas as to what types of things you're supposed to be learning, and then go to education.com, because they got stuff as well, and just print off the worksheets that go along with it. I mean, you could also go to education.com. It's free. It's got a ton of worksheets, and just print off. Yeah, and just print off the grade level too that you're like, I forget what, I want to say it goes up till 8th grade, education.com. I'm not exactly sure, but I was on there this morning. I just can't recall. Okay, so there you go. There's a super cool bunch of stuff, bunch of free ideas, bunch of information. I'm going to put all the links down in the description for you, and I hope you like it. I hope it helped, and I hope you tune in to my other videos. Take care. Can you say, please like and subscribe?
Please like to like.
And hit the bell for notifications.
Hit the bell for notifications.